Welcome everyone to another Pixelated Review. I'm your host, Pixelated Jordan. So today we have a Halloween special, a October-ness, if you would. It depends how you look at it, really. Anyway, for the month of October, I figured, something on the lines of paranormal, vampire, werewolf, stuff like that. But the thing I thought about too is I read this one in the middle of the year, at some point this year, and I wanted to talk about it. So I was like, this seems like a good thing to talk about during the month of October. Why not? Spooky season, vampires, yeah, that's all it was. I know this book came out during the time of, Cirque du Freak. I love Cirque du Freak as much next guy, so I'll definitely say that this was definitely something next to that. I remember in middle school when these books were out, Cirque du Freak was the number one. All the boys were all like, this one is for boys right here. This is awesome, not the Twilight kind. And then this book was kind of like afterwards, if you finish Cirque du Freak and there was no other boy vampire at the time that didn't sparkle, this would be the next step. But now, as we get to this, how do we compare these two? How does this one book compare to the creepiness that is Cirque du Freak? Well, I can start off right now to spoil it. It's not that creepy, to be honest, but there's vampires, so that still meets the quota of spooky stuff. So anyway, without further ado, let's get on with the review. Book 1, 8th Grade Bites. We follow young Vlad in his world of normality, if you would. He has his best friend who he accidentally bit when he was younger, because I guess they were trying to figure out if he was or what would happen if he did, Fair enough, I would probably do the same thing. Anyway, as we move on through the story, it's just kind of this classic story of, a superhuman person trying to live in a normal society, basically what it is. Of course, he has to drink a bunch of blood, which his adopted mother has provided him from the nursery, because she works at the nurse factory, or doctor's emergency room, hospital. There we go. Anyway, she does provide for him, with all the meat and all that stuff, so she generally is a good house mother to him. Whatever. It's basically after his parents passed away and died from a fire. She was the kind of like this main lady who was part of the family, kind of. Then she took over his life and tried to, take care of him, of course. Now, as we get through the story, the plot thickens into this person's coming after Vlad because his dad done something, so they want to go after him. And the guy's name is Diablo. I know it's kind of simple, but his name is Diablo. Then we get a mysterious teacher that shows up here out of nowhere, and he's very friendly with Vlad, but also kind of messes with Vlad too. He knows him. He knows that Vlad knows that he knows that he's Vlad the vampire. Alright, was that confusing? Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. But anyway, point is, Vlad knows that this guy knows that he's probably a vampire. Now, we're gonna skip a lot of this because, with spoilers here, and I got 5 books to talk about. We're gonna continue on. Vlad does come to realize that this guy, who's kind of been not stalking him necessarily, or maybe stalking him, it's his uncle, and he wants to try to protect him from Diablo, and Diablo wants his blood to start this whole process of becoming the main vampire, I think it was. But anyway, I did enjoy the charm of what's kind of this classic story of, the vampire in a school and trying to come to terms with it. But the only thing I kind of had issues with definitely the climax of the story, facing Diablo. There was a stick that he found in his dad's mansion. Oh, well, not mansion, but house. But he used this, and this stick apparently is very powerful and can one-shot people. So he gets captured by Diablo and his goons, and the uncle was playing that, oh yeah, I'm part of this crew too, and he just tried to save Vlad. Now there's this confrontation between him and Diablo. The uncle loses, he's still alive, but he loses, and then Vlad uses the stick, and it shoots like a powerful beam, and Diablo dies. And then everyone goes off their merry way. Which I was like, well, that is weird. Alright then. Well, that was the first book though, so generally I say charm, fantastic. The climax kinda sucked to be honest. I thought there'd be more, because there was goons around, but I guess not. Oh well, who cares, right? Anyway, for that, I will say that 8th grade Bart gets a rating of, check it out, Book 2, 9th grade Slays. So after the charm and the high stakes, I guess you would say, of the first book, we're expecting, high school now. Now it's high school. He was in 8th grade, now we're in high school. So now everything's going to be different, right? Everything's going to be more, right? That's kind of what we're looking at here, right? Well, to be shocked to you and everyone else, no. And that's kind of the thing I get. So I'm like, I guess. So we learned about Elysia. I think it's how it's pronounced. I can't remember. But basically, that's the vampire world. And what is the vampire world? Everywhere. So Elysia is everywhere where the vampires are, and it's like, so just the world, they call it Elysia, and vampires are just everywhere, just like people are. So that's all you need to know, and that's the most that makes sense of it. So, but when it comes down to it, the world of when they talk about vampires is cool, but here's the problem. Even the characters point out that the vampire history is kind of boring too. It's about as boring as it is with human history. If you're sat there just listening to human history, how people lectured a lot. No, that's not very entertaining, isn't it? Well, that's just here with vampires too. I second that. So that's why I'm like, all right. Whatever, so we're just kind of sticking with it. Now, there is a vampire slayer here, which is really cool. So, and he does play a good part in this second book, I guess. And he does kind of play this role of, trying to track them down, which is pretty cool. And it's because it is Vlad they're looking for, which is awesome. Oh, and then, the climax was actually a lot better, which I really liked a lot. Also, Vlad just overpowered for some reason. That's kind of crazy. But the biggest thing that kind of bugged me, it was Diablo's return. He returned for reasons, and then he has control over the minion of his little territory of vampires for reasons. That's just for reasons. Anyway, there is a pretty fun climax, needless to say. He didn't use the stick because he lost the stick in the middle of the fight and some blah, 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 blah. Point is, we have, that was it. It was a lot of little high school stuff, which, some of it was kind of charming and fun. And then they had other little things that happened here and there, the history of the vampires, which is always good lore if you're interested in lore stuff like that. So I appreciate that stuff, but it isn't immediately boring because it's nothing but talk, which I'm like, I wish there was something more. Oh well, we had a Slayer thing. The Slayer part was kind of cool, and at least that added to something, But at the end of the day, I really can't say this was like the exciting sequel or a sequel that just felt like it added more. It was just kind of padding it, if anything else. So, with that being said, for 9th grade Slays, I give it a rating of, Book 3, 10th grade Leads. I think I know what the issue is. I don't like the Diablo. Diablo kind of sucks, to be honest. He just keeps coming back, and he doesn't just want to stay dead. Dude, you had your shot, you died, you literally got shot, and now you come back. Bruh, go dead already, stay down. Stop worrying about this kid who has the ultimate power to control all vampires and stuff like that. Okay, maybe that's pretty powerful, but still. Point is that, stop it. Let someone else take the villain role for once. Like, seriously, man, that just... Anyway, so yeah, we're kind of dealing with this more. There's more vampire world lore building, if you would, in this one, which is fun. That is something I do generally enjoy, as long as it's not the boring history of them just lecturing stuff. That's fine. I can deal with that. Now, what I can't deal with is the plot not going anywhere for a long time. It feels like things are just kind of happening, which kind of sucks. I know I've said this before in one series, Cirque the Freak specifically. Uh, I've said like I don't like how it feels things are happening, and usually it's not like that. And I know it's not like that, but I can't help but initially reads that it feels like just things are happening and nothing's being progressed, which is what kind of sucks about this book because that's what it feels like. Anyway, we kind of have this nice little moment in there, though, I will admit. It's called the feeding, or like feeding frenzy or whatever. They just hunt down humans anyway. So the blood feeding, yeah, that one. And that was a lot of fun, I'll admit it. It was handled pretty well, and like the horror that, Lad seeing his Uncle Oates, his name's by Uncle Oates, by the way, is pretty cool. Also, his best friend is named Henry. I forgot about that. He is a drudge since, the first book I said he bit him to see what happens. Well, he's a drudge, so he's like a personal slave, technically. Now, kind of get this, kind of back and forth here with the best friend and him, and that's fine, that works. And there's also now Vlad trying to not feed on people because now he's, getting to that urge state of, wanting to bite people and take their blood. But, yeah, generally speaking, it's okay. This one is feeling it's like it's nothing, and Diablo's still there, and I don't know why he's still there. He's just standing there, just to be there, and I don't like him. I hope he goes away next time. Anyway, 4 10th grade bleeds. I give it a rating of Book 4, 11th grade burns. Finally. Alright, after 2 books, what felt like setup and felt like nothing's being progressed other than the age he's getting at, we finally get some progress in this story. So when it comes to Drudge and then Vlad now drinking someone else, that's a whole, thing right there. Which, honestly, an emo and a vampire having a party, does make more sense if you really think about it. But that's just me. That's what I think. But anyway, the story was actually very entertaining. A lot of things that were set up at the beginning or the first, second, and third book are now coming to play, and now the plot feels like it's actually getting better. Diablo still exists, so I have no choice to deal with that guy, so I can't really complain much other than what I have complained about him. So he still exists, and we have to deal with him, and if I have to deal with him, you gotta deal with him, and he's still there. Anyway, generally, though, I do like the stories, how it's going and how it's progressing. It really is entertaining. I'm really enjoying Vlad's kind of his compromise to his vampirism and his humanism. It really is kind of good. He was fighting that in the first 3 books, especially in the third one. And then when he finds that woman, then everything kind of just goes off from there. And I really do enjoy it a lot. So this right here is generally a really good book. I've generally had a good time with this one, and it excites me to see what happens in the final book. So, 4 11th grade burns. I give it a rating of, check it out, Book 5 12th grade kills. And here we are at the end of the road of the series of high school. Vlad. What I thought about it really was, everything kind of came together, as I said, 4th one really did pick up the pace and really pushed forward with it. My problem with some of the stories, with this one in particular, some things seemed way more obvious. Throughout the stories, it was talked about, Vlad and his dad and his mom being a normal human, and Vlad's dad being an actual vampire. The problem is that, having a half vampire son is usually frowned upon, could be super powerful, which he is. He's what's called a province. And his dad, he pops out of nowhere. Okay, his dad pops out of nowhere. So, what do you think that means? He's probably trying to kill his son to become the most powerful thing, because that's how this stuff works in this universe. That would have been my guess. Also, there was a journal that his dad had his dad wrote and Vlad had throughout this entire book. Technically, And now, this kid who's been here, who's been trying to prove Vlad this whole time through high school, now can actually prove it. And he just, how did no one figure out it was him? They argued so many times with him. So he would have been one of my suspects. Just saying, I would have. He would have been my suspect. Anyway, there's a point where like the Slayers get involved, all the vampires get involved to kill Vlad, and then citizens of the entire whatever the city they live in gets involved. Holy crap, man! Wow, like they just everything went down at once, man. Like it just wow. But the problem is a lot of these scenes just went down so darn fast. Like literally, it was just like one paragraph. I cut this guy, and then I moved, and then I cut this other guy, and then that was it. I'm like, all that for just a little bit of action? I'm like, whatever. So, I mean, I get it. Not what necessarily the book's about. It does have a really good climax, and the one thing that really nails it at the end is Nellie's death. Ellie has been there from the beginning. Really, she's a sweetheart who's innocent, who really does not need to be involved with this. Unfortunately, got involved, and she dies. So it is a bittersweet ending, but it really does. It really all kind of came together. It was really fun. So it sends off Vlad. Now he's technically an adult, in human world, and he's on his own. He should be on his own, and that is something I can say was really cool. So, with that being said, I'm gonna give 12th grade kills a rating of check it out. Overall, I can say the series has charm. Overall, this series has some entertainment to be had. The problem I had with it is sometimes the plot can be too predictable, or I can see it coming, or just Diablo existing. That always kind of irked me. But there is fun to be had here, even though I can't compare it necessarily to Circuit Freak. This does have some moments, and it is fun. And the thing is, it is pretty unique amongst vampires, at least as far as I've read thus far. I generally think it's a good read, and though I wish it could have been better in many places, there's still something here to enjoy. So, for those looking for anything vampire related, paranormal even, I recommend this series. So, not the star recommendation, but I'll give you my rate recommendation. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, cool. Anyway, without further ado, let's get this a review. For the Chronicles of Vladimir Todd, I give it a rating of check it out. Thank you for watching. I want to thank you guys all for watching again. I really do appreciate it. If you want to read this series, I will link it down below. And hey, did you know I'm too an author? That's right. I have a book called Unborn Ghost. It's a simple story of a man named Ashur who's trying to find his way back home. It's a young adult novel, and it's silly, it's got some goofy stuff, and it's fun. So if you're interested, that too will be linked in the bio. As always, I have other videos if you want to watch it, and if you do, then that's cool. If not, that's cool too. Anyways, I hope you all have a good day, and thank you for watching.